Um, Really, you can do this whole thing with just a pencil and a paper. If you have multiple pieces of paper, that sometimes helps. Sometimes the bigger is the better, just to be able to move around. I also have some other things. I've got crayons, got this really nice big charcoal stick, which is fun to play with, and my trusty pencil, which um, I almost always lose things before they get to the end. So, this pencil started out like this. So I'm feeling pretty good that I still have it. Um, so with that, just take a second now, just to kind of look within yourself and how are you feeling right now? And you can feel free to put it in the chat. You can say it. You can just be silent, but just take a second to just see how you're feeling and what that is for you. And even like what it's like to even look at how you're feeling. Because I think a lot of times, I don't know about you all, but sometimes I don't think we really get enough invitation, you know, to just kind of look and look within ourselves, see how we're doing, without having to kind of figure things out or go into our history or go into our future. So whatever that is for you is totally perfect for now. And so just, with whatever materials you have, just want to invite you, if you got a pen, pencil, whatever, I got a pencil, piece of paper, is just kind of put it on your material, whatever it is, and just start moving. And there's no particular way to move. At least at this point, we're not going for anything specific. We're just kind of seeing what occurs to us and we're just moving however we want to move, right? And so I call this exercise, and I borrowed it from someone else who I can't remember who first came up with the idea, but I took it, and we sometimes call it taking a walk with your pencil. And when you think about taking a walk, right? You're just out, you're taking a walk. Often, at least for me, I'm following a path or a sidewalk or a street. But in this environment, we get to move with our pencil or a pen or crayon or whatever we have. We just get to move wherever we want. We start off maybe with a blank sheet, and there's no rules. And one of the real benefits of being here together like this and doing this is, at least for this little time that we're together, we get to be in a space of no rules, no expectations, absolutely welcoming everything that comes to us, wherever our pencil or pen wants to go. Sometimes it feels like it has a will of its own. I don't know if any of you are feeling that, like it's just moving, or we feel like we have a little direction and we know where we're going. It's all welcome. And, from time to time, you can go at different paces. Like sometimes I find, like today for me, because it's always different, I'm actually moving a little more slower than I usually do in this. So you may find too that just like in walking, when you're moving in this kind of space and exercise, the pace can be very unique to the moment. It can change. You can kind of see, well, what does this feel like to move like this? just kind of move around. And to me, there's this thing, and maybe some of you will experience this as I'm just kind of moving around the way I'm moving, and I'm looking at the point. Maybe you can try this if you want. Look at the point where your pen or pencil or whatever is touching the paper, and something is coming out. Like sometimes you can get into this magical thing where it's almost like I almost feel like it's liquid. Like the this movement and the shape is just kind of flowing out of my pencil. And for me, that um, some of you might know, I'm also um, an artist and I do make art, and that's kind of the space I get into when I'm painting, because that's usually my main medium for my artwork. And part of where this workshop came from was discovering things in my painting process that were really exciting, comforting, insightful. I learned so much about my mental health just by painting and being in a space like this. So like in any time, just kind of feel what it is just to move, just the pure sensation of moving. And how does that feel for you? Um, at times you can take a look at what's been put on the paper, like a larger view, and definitely invite you to look at whatever is coming out without any expectations, um, especially without any judgment. But, all kinds of thoughts can occur to us, and they're all welcome. And anytime you want to, again, anytime during this hour we have together, if you want to say anything, express anything by speaking or typing, you can feel free to do that. So we'll just keep going for this for a little while. Um, it's so interesting. I find myself at times pausing a little bit and just looking at this that's coming out, and um, it's almost like when you are out for a walk and you stop to look at some plants or flowers, or you stop to say hi to a cat or a dog or occasionally another person. I live in a very, very densely populated neighborhood, so I'm always running into people, it seems, and saying hi to strangers, and the same kind of feeling can come out of this. Um, what you're creating is almost like you're creating a whole world that you can stop and look at, ponder over, delight in. And especially if in this part of this, like you can do anything you want, but especially if right now what's appearing in your paper is not like a recognizable object that you see in the world, right? You can look at different things that are coming out. Um, and I will just, if you want, for just to show you, like for now, how this is being expressed for me, right? There's a lot of sort of swirling pencils going all over the place. But if you just kind of look at a portion of it, it's like, oh, there's like all these characters in here, you know? There's all kinds of things going on here that um, don't have a name even in the world, the world of form. Um, but yet some of them can be like really interesting, and some of them you might even see like recognizable sort of shapes forming. Like you may see, like I'm just seeing right now, like a bird that I did not intend to draw. Um, there's just so much that can just come out of us when we're in this space. Um, Another thing you can do in this exercise um, is whatever you're doing, no one needs to show what they're doing at any time, but as you kind of go around and you might see some spaces, some of the lines that you've already done that you maybe want to go over in a little bit darker. I don't know if you can see this. Like there's a little bit like that's an option too. And sometimes again, there's just something in you that's guiding you as what to do. And there can be so many layers to this and what you're creating. Um, because even though we may not necessarily be trying to um, create something that is recognizable, that is a thing in the world, we are creating. We are absolutely creating. And what we're experiencing right now, where this is coming from, is exactly the same thing that creates everything in our life. Whatever is moving you right now, whatever is guiding you to do whatever you're doing, that is the same wisdom that's running your entire life, which is why, one of the working titles of this is drawing out your wisdom. Because wisdom comes from within, comes from within us. And I think sometimes we aren't invited that often to consider that that's where it comes from. I mean, we learn things and read things and hear things in what we would call the outside world, right? That help us, that, you know, we learn things, but the thing that's behind it all is this wisdom. So it's coming out right now in us. And so I hope you're getting that experience. You're getting a little feel for it. And especially in this exercise where we don't necessarily have a goal in mind, you get to almost see the purity of just the guidance coming out and just doing what it wants. You know, another way to look at this is your inner, whatever you would call your inner self in this moment is moving exactly how it wants. It's totally free. It can do anything. And there's no right or wrong. There's no good or bad, although you may like or dislike things that you see, but there really is no good or bad in this. And I think to be in a space of having that experience that we're having now, where you're just living your life, you're doing what you're doing, and you can get into a feeling of absolute freedom, non-judgment, discovery. That's one of my favorite words. Um, it's a beautiful word, but it's also a very neutral word because you're just discovering what's coming out, what you want to do. And it can be fun or it can just be kind of like interesting to you. So again, this is kind of what this turned into for me, which I'm really enjoying. I don't usually do this, so I love this. Just kind of, you know, being guided to go over some of the other lines that I already made. Some interesting things are developing that I wasn't necessarily expecting. So, um, an exercise like this, or whatever you want to call it, an activity or an expression, like you can do this for a long time. I once, the very first time I did this workshop, I had an hour and a half, and I had just considered doing this. What we're doing now is kind of like a warm-up exercise, right? And I had a whole agenda of all these other things I was going to do. And you know what? We just kept going for an hour and a half because everyone wanted to keep doing it. And we talked a little bit, but um, we just kept going. So you can do, like, if you ever want to do this on your own, I just think it's really, um, it's actually really, really practical. Like you can do this anywhere, anytime. You can do this on an airplane, in a coffee shop. You can do this while you're waiting in an appointment. And it can be so soothing. So it's very practical, brings you right into the present moment. And there's a reason so many people, like in the spiritual and self-help world, talk about the present moment, is because the rest of your life, which is important. I'm not saying, just we have to give our lives and the things going on and the things that, you know, affect us, give them their due, but they don't have to take center stage all the time. You can really go into doing something very ordinary, very just in the moment, and you can see, hopefully, you know, you're feeling during this time, something, I don't know, positive or calming or soothing, or even, you could be having insights. Um, so again, no one, we're a small group. I don't see anyone else coming in yet. Uh, you know, no one needs to speak or say anything or write anything, but I do want to just invite you to say anything, ask questions. Sometimes um, people do this exercise and some people have a hard time with it. And that's totally cool too. That can open up a whole world. The very first time I did this, some of you may have heard this story, that workshop I was telling you about, when we got to this point of sharing how it was going and what was happening, the person who hired me to do it got on and said that they hated it. But I knew that was, she said it with a little bit of a like laugh too. She's like, I hate this. And I was like, oh, well, that's great. And she's like, no, no, it's not good. And I said, well, let me tell you why I think it's good. And we had this whole long, profound discussion. She realized that she was having a hard time with it because she was looking at what she was doing and she was judging it. She was comparing it to, voices in her head that says, well, I'm not an artist. I can't make things. Um, I had all these experiences where people criticized my drawing when I was a child, which, me too. All of us probably. And it turned into this beautiful, beautiful discussion. And by the end of the workshop, she was in love with what she'd created. So, as we do this, everything's welcome. Everything's welcome. So whatever you're experiencing. And, you know, even that, for me at least, that idea that everything is welcome in what you're feeling, like how often do we get invited to do that? I hope we do sometimes, but man, I'd say like that's not, like, yes, in this community, you know, the space that Lily has created and the other people come in, you know, we hope you always feel welcome to be as you are. But there's a lot of times where it's not either invited or it's not necessarily, we don't often feel welcome to that. So I hope you're feeling some of that, to be as you are, and to to appreciate that we can be this way together. So, with all that said, any point does anyone want to say anything? What this is like for you? Um, are you discovering anything? Um, is there anything that's like kind of, oh wow, I was not expecting that? And okay, Marvin, thanks. I came in pretty rushed. My drawing started hectic and abrupt, but it got slower and smoother, and I feel much calmer. Oh my God, that's isn't that nice? I mean, that's just a nice thing to feel. So I thank you for sharing that. And hopefully, like as you get a feel for that, oh, and Anne, I'll call on you in a sec. Hopefully, like as we all get a feel for that in this time, it's so valuable to get a feel for something. Because when you get a feel for Marvin, what you just said, it orients your entire consciousness in a really powerful way to wanting that and seeing that more and more in your life outside of this exercise. So, like as we go forward from this into, your life outside of this, it might be interesting to see if you find yourself just kind of naturally waking up from that in that same kind of experience. So yeah. Do you before we go to Anna or Alicia has her hand raised. Marvin, do you want to say anything more about that? You don't need to, but how does all that sound to you? You can type it in too. And yeah, we'll read that when you're done and let's go over to Alicia.